In an extremely distracted world where basically everyone's trying to fight for your attention, whether that be through social media and you're scrolling through posts, and basically every other post turns out to be a sponsored ad, or on television, whether you're watching cable or if you're watching Netflix or Hulu, there's ads placed throughout some of these different streaming services. You want to be mindful of all the information that you're taking in, because all this information that you're taking in is basically shaping who you are and who you're going to become in the future. There are several different areas that you want to be mindful of, and who you're spending time around and who you're allowing get your attention and feed information to you. Say with social media, if you follow some people and they just kind of post doom or gloom and it's just always negative stuff, this is going to fill your mind and your subconscious with all this negative information that they're sharing with you. And this stuff might not be providing much value to you. And it doesn't really have to be like Instagram or Facebook where people are sharing this negative information. It could also be stuff like YouTube and the videos that you watch on there, or the accounts that you follow. Whereas if you're subscribing to these channels on YouTube, and if they're providing positive information for you and they're uplifting your life, or they're just providing really good information, that can have a really significant impact on your life if you're watching that in comparison to something, say like the news, that's just trying to spread negativity and everyone just debating in the comments. I'm not saying that you should completely avoid this. I'm just saying that this can have a significant impact if you're not really being mindful of the information that you're taking in. So if you find that people aren't really providing value for you or in your life, and they're maybe just bringing you down a little bit, it probably won't even hurt you. It might even benefit you if you're cutting them out. And it's just online. It's not like you're cutting them out of your life completely. If you do see them in person, maybe you can just be like, hey, how's it going? And just catch up with them real quick. You don't really have to say anything or have a deep conversation with them and then continue on with your day. But if they're just spreading negativity on social media or YouTube or whatever accounts that you're following, this can just have a significant impact on your life. And it's not just social media and the people that you follow on there. It's also people in your real life and the people that you hang out with there. And I kind of briefly talked about that in the previous video. But basically the people that you spend the most time with is who you're going to start adopting their behaviors and the way they act. And if you're hanging out with people that talk a lot about business or positivity, you're going to start adopting those behaviors and that mindset. Whereas if you're talking with other people that just think negative and don't really want to do anything or don't really want to achieve anything more in life, then you're probably going to have that same mindset. So there's two sides of the spectrum where you can either have that negative mindset or you can have that positive mindset. It's just a matter of who you're spending your time with and the people that you want to be around. And you can even take this a step further with your work and your work environment and the people there. Say you're working in a toxic work culture, that's going to start pouring off into your outside world, and that might make you a little bit more toxic and think negatively. Because you're working in such a toxic work culture, you're just kind of complaining about that whenever you're outside of work, and you're just talking about how much you don't like your job, and then it's just going to hate going into work that much more, and then that's just going to keep snowballing, and it's not going to be a good effect. Whereas if you do enjoy the work and you have a really positive work culture, it's just going to be a lot more uplifting for yourself and you professionally, because that's just going to end up snowballing positively instead of negatively, and it's going to advance yourself in that career, and you're going to get a lot more experience and gain a lot more knowledge. And then when you're outside of work, you're not going to be complaining about it or saying how bad it is. You're going to talk about how great it is, and that's just going to lead to you having a more happier life, because instead of talking about how negative and toxic your work is, you're going to talk about how great it is and how positive it is and how much it helps you become a better person. Additionally to that, also with the TV and what shows you're watching, if you're, say, watching the news kind of thrives on negativity and having such a bad outlook on life, because that's what drives views. So they do sprinkle a little bit of positivity here and there, but I would say for the most part, it's a lot of negative stuff. And I'm not saying that the news is terrible to watch, but they do spread a lot of negativity there. And I know you might want to keep up with current events and what's going on in the world, but there's other platforms that you can go to where you can get that information and you don't have to get the negative side of it. Say with a podcast, you could probably get all that information that you really want. Say you want the business or you want the news. There's probably a lot of podcasts out there that could have that information where it might cut out all the negative aspects that are trying to put fear in our eyes. And another area to be mindful of is what we read. We could read the newspaper to get our daily information on what's going on in the world, which is great to stay up to date with all the information going on in current events. But there are some areas in there that might change your mindset on certain aspects because it might be a little bit biased at the same time. And also, I'm not saying that you should only read self-development and personal help books, but if you're only reading fantasy and fiction books, this might help expand your mind a little bit and think outside the box. But if you were spending all that time, say you read a book a week and you're only reading, say, fantasy books, if you switched up and added a personal development book in there every other week, you're going to be gaining a lot more knowledge on yourself and how to improve yourself as an individual. And this is going to help you out immensely down the road. Whereas if you were only reading fantasy or fiction type books, but don't get me wrong, those books do have a good place. But I'm saying if you expanded a little bit and added, say, a self-help development book in there every now and then, you're going to help expand your mind and help create a better version of yourself. With what you're reading, it could also be the newsletters that you're signed up for. And I actually just started my own, where I'm going to talk about productivity, habits, goal setting, and just what I'm up to, and maybe something that you can implement on your life that I'm doing on mine, and you can share with me what's personally working for you. So if you would like to join that newsletter, I'll leave a link in the description down below. And with all this being said, the information that we're taking in on a daily basis is basically shaping who we are going to be in the future and basically who we are right now. So I'm just trying to make sure that you're being mindful of the people that you hang out with, the information that you're feeding yourself, because this can lead you down two very different paths. And you got to make sure it's the path that you want to be going on. If you want to go this way or if you want to go that way, and the stuff that you're taking in, which information is going to be getting you to where you want to go. And if you're currently taking in the information that's taking you to where you don't want to go, you want to make sure you switch that up and make sure you're taking in that information that's going to be taking you to where you want to go. So just be mindful with the information that you're trying to take in on a daily basis. I hope this helps out a little bit. And as always, thanks for watching, and let's level up.